Hi everybody, I hope you're all well and enjoying this heat we're having. I know if you live in a hotter country you're probably not going to be enjoying it, but as someone who lives in the northeast of England, I am enjoying the hot weather. It's not very often we get what I'd call a real summer. We usually get hot summers, but in a very short period of time, and then it rains a lot. But this summer, and last year actually, it went on for quite a while, and I'm loving it. However, what is it today? It's Thursday today. Monday and Tuesday it was boiling, and then yesterday and today it seems that everywhere else in the UK is hot, but this little dot in the northeast is cold. I mean, there's no blue sky out there right now. It's all just cloud and it's quite chilly. However, I decided to make this video for everybody who either lives in a hot country or even who lives in England and is suffering with getting to sleep in the heat. I know that sometimes when we have a really hot summer, or if I'm on holiday, I struggle to get to sleep in the heat, and there's nothing worse than just lying there in bed just wishing it was a bit cooler. So I did a little bit of research, and I've got tips from experts in sleep. When I'm going to talk about the tips, I'm going to give my take on them, because not all of these tips I agree with, because not all these tips work for me, and it's just to give you maybe some hints on what you can do. You might already be doing these, you might never have thought of them. So the first tip I have got is keep your pajamas on. Apparently if you sleep in pajamas and remove the quilt and the top sheet, the natural fibres, it has to be natural fibres on your pajamas, so it can't be any man-made thing, so cotton really, or linen, but who has linen pajamas? So cotton pajamas, and it actually draws the sweat from your body, and that is meant to keep you cool. Now, I'm not going to say this to be rude or crude or anything. I'm going to say it for the purposes of the video. In the summer I sleep naked. I don't agree with keeping pajamas on. I have tried it, but I find when you have pajamas on, I'm a very tossy-turny person in bed. I am never in one spot. I'm always switching from side to side. This is in the winter or summer. I always move from side to side, and when you have pajamas on, they kind of get wrapped and twisted around your body, and it makes it really constricting and uncomfortable. So in the summer, my preferred way to sleep is obviously take the quilt off, because my quilt is a winter quilt. I think it's like a 20 tog or an 18.5 tog. So it's a heavy feather quilt, and I just leave my top sheet on and I sleep naked, and it makes me feel like relaxed because I'm not tied up in any clothes, and I've got that sheet. I can kick the sheet off if I want, or if it gets a little bit chilly I can just bring that sheet back on. So although the experts say keep your PJs on providing they are natural fibres, I actually say sleep naked. Totally down to you. You might want to try it, but that's what I prefer. Number 2 is to have a cool shower. Body temperature needs to be 0.5 degree Celsius cooler in order to be a good temperature for you to sleep. So they do suggest having a cool or lukewarm shower before you go to bed, because that will cool you down. I have done this on holiday. If I'm too hot, I will just nip in the shower. I won't necessarily wet my hair. I'll just shower my body. Then I usually lie down just under a quilt. Sometimes I don't even dry myself. I go to bed not dripping wet, but I just kind of dab myself with a towel and I lie there, and my damp skin and the air make me a lot cooler. If you do this, be careful not to have too cold of a shower, because if you have a really cold shower, it could actually do the opposite and it could invigorate you and wake you up. The next one is to use a fan, and apparently you're meant to direct the fan towards your face because your cheeks have the ability to release a lot of heat from your body. I normally just direct it to my whole body. I have it oscillating so that it goes up and down my body. I've never really tried it just on my cheeks. Next time I need a fan to sleep, I'll probably try that. However, I have something extra I do if I'm using a fan, and I did this when I was in Spain last time. It was so hot. It was actually a heat wave when we were there, and I think it was in its low 40s, which was ridiculous. I was going to say I wet myself, but that's not what I mean. I dampened myself. So I had the fan on, and it wasn't really working. It was nice and cool, but it wasn't cooling me down. It was just sort of cooling the air around me, and it wasn't actually cooling my body down. So what I decided to do is, we had one of these bottles there. And what I did was I sprayed my arms. I think I sprayed the skin that was exposed. I didn't sleep naked because I was sharing the room with other people, but I remember spraying my arms, my stomach and my legs to cool down, and because my skin was wet, the fan cooled me down a lot quicker. You can also add to water albus oil or eucalyptus oil. This stuff is great for colds. It's very potent. This stuff, if you've ever put this in a bath, you will know that was the worst idea in the world if you've got a cold. I once put this in a bath with me when I had flu, thinking that it would be brilliant and it would clear my nose and things. Little did I realise that it turned the hot water in the bath to ice water. It didn't actually change the temperature of the water, but this rested on the surface of the water and it coated my skin. And when it coated my skin, everything felt freezing. Everything felt like ice, and because I had a cold, it made everything 10 times worse. But if you are too hot, you can add a few drops of albus oil into your water, give it a shake up, and then spray some on your arms and your legs, and the extra albus oil should help cool you down as well. Another suggestion is to chill your sheets, because you remove your quilt. I'm trying to think what they call a quilt in America, because in England we have your top sheet, which is just a sheet, and then you have a quilt, which is either foam or feather in a cover. But I think in America a quilt is like that thing that a lot of old grannies sew together. But we call that a comforter. But I don't know if in America you go top sheet, comforter, quilt, although it's the exact same order in this country, but we call a quilt a comfort and a comforter a quilt. A comforter over here is kind of an extra thing. It's usually a fancy thing. It might be satin or have beads on, and it's not really used on your bed normally, but it's put on there to make it look pretty. And I'm 99% sure the Americans call it the other way around. So comforter is actually the main thing that goes on your bed. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously you'll remove your quilt and you'll just have the top sheet. And they said you can actually remove your top sheet, put it in the freezer, and then when you're ready to go to bed, get it out and drape it over your body, and that will cool your body. Now I don't have a sheet, but I have this, which is just a pillowcase. And I think this one doesn't have a label on it. The one thing I don't scrimp on, and I've said this in videos before, is bed sheets. I can't sleep on anything that's not 100% cotton. Not because I'm a prima donna, but because anything that's sort of half cotton, half polyester gets those bubbles on it, and they irritate the life out of me, and they just feel rough and horrible. And I've had them in the past and I didn't like them, and then I splashed out a little bit of money on good Egyptian cotton sheets, and they're the best thing ever. So all of my sheets are natural fibres, which is probably why they keep me cool when I sleep with just the sheets. But back to the tip, put these in the freezer. Now obviously you're not going to get this sheet and just shove it in the freezer amongst the sausages and the peas. You're going to want to put it in a bag. I have a Ziploc. Is it a Ziploc or just a resealable? Just a resealable bag. Squeeze as much air out of it as you can, because if your freezer is anything like mine, it's always chock-a-block of stuff, and I can barely fit anything in it. So once your sheet is in the bag, then you can put that in the freezer and cool it down, and then when you go to bed you can drape it on you. This idea I think is a bit stupid. The sheet will warm up within minutes. As soon as you open, I mean it might stay cool if it's all folded, but as soon as you open a sheet up flat, it's going to warm up because it can't retain the cool. So I think that idea is just a waste of time, really. You could try it if you want, but personally I think it's a bit of a waste. The next one is to sleep downstairs. As we all know, hot air rises, so the upper floors in a house tend to be the warmer places, and downstairs, especially on tiled floors, tend to be the cooler areas. So if you're having a really, really terrible time sleeping upstairs, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you just can't get to sleep, maybe go downstairs and just sleep on the couch. Take your sheet down and try and get to sleep on a couch, because sometimes couches give you the best sleeps. I know at like 4 o'clock on an afternoon on a Saturday, my couch is the best place to sleep. Also, if you have a Velux window or a skylight, you could open those up, and I would encourage the hot air to leave through the window, hopefully giving you some cooler air in the room. The next one is putting your feet out of the bed. Many believe that sticking your feet out of the bed is a good way to cool down. However, if your feet are too cold, they can actually disturb your sleep. Now, I agree with this. I am a bit of a fusspot when it comes to my feet in bed. If they are too cold, especially in the winter, I physically cannot get to sleep, and I don't know why, but it turns out there's some sort of scientific reason. I have laid there for hours trying to get to sleep, and I didn't understand why I couldn't, and then I noticed that my feet were ice cold. I'd get up, I'd put some winter socks on, some big fluffy socks, and within half an hour I was fast asleep. And it's the same if they're too hot. If I've put my electric blanket on and my feet have warmed up too much, I have to stick them at the bed to cool them down. So they say try not to stick your feet out of the bed, but we all know that sticking your foot out of the bed or sticking one leg out of the bed is the universal way to cool yourself down. Everyone does it. It's a natural thing. It's not something we're taught. It's just something we know. If you're too hot in bed, you don't just throw the covers back. You just stick a foot or stick a leg out, and you might wake up halfway through the night and your foot's freezing cold, but then you sneak it back in under the covers, and then you meet it with the other one that's too hot, and then they equalise. So I actually say keep doing what you're doing. It's the thing that everybody does, stick your foot out of the bed. Another one is don't eat too late. It means your body's brimming with calories and they generate heat. If you absolutely have to eat before bed, if you just can't get to sleep because you're too hungry, try to eat something really light, like a light salad or a smoothie made with fruit juices rather than like milk or anything. But in all, try to eat a good few hours before bed. I am terrible for doing this. I eat very, very late and always have done. Didn't as a child, but for some reason now I don't eat my dinner until 9, half 9, which is really bad. I have been trying to eat it earlier, but I don't know, just 9:30 seems a good time to eat dinner, but I don't actually go to bed until about 12, but I am trying to have it earlier. Sniff lavender. So I've got some lavender oil here. For centuries, lavender has been seen as having numerous medicinal properties. Many say they sleep better if they have a sniff of lavender oil, or if they put a few drops of oil on their pillow. I have used lavender in the past I usually put a few drops on a hanky, on like a proper cotton handkerchief, and either lay it under my face or stuff it between my pillowcase and my pillow under my head. Does it work? I don't know. It doesn't sort of knock me out. If I'm suffering from a sleepless night and it's 3:30 in the morning and I'm at my wit's end, usually I'll take a sleeping tablet. This isn't due to heat. This is just not being able to sleep. I usually take a sleeping tablet because I would have tried everything else before, but rarely will I turn to lavender at that time in the morning. Normally this is put on my pillowcase on a normal night just to help me drift off. You could try it. It's been said that it has properties to help you sleep, but I think it's totally down to you. Oh, it's lovely. My only other piece of advice that I would give, that I used quite a lot last year, we had a bit of a hot summer and there were a few nights where I struggled to sleep, and that is a hot water bottle. A lot of people I've spoken to have never thought of this. Put cold water in a hot water bottle. It does exactly the same. You can put it in the freezer if you want. I did read somewhere where somebody said put a corn, like a corn on the cob, in its leaves in the freezer. But I don't really want to go and buy a corn on the cob and put that in there. My cold water bottle does the same. So you can fill this up with cold water. Don't fill it up all the way to the top, because when it turns to ice it expands. Make sure there's still some air in there. Put it in the freezer if you want, and then you've got your little ice block to take to bed with you, that when it melts it's not going to soak you. I would say if you do freeze this, put the cover back on. I don't know if it would give you like freezer burn, if it would be too cold, but I would say if you do freeze it, put the cover on so that it dulls the cold and it's not too sharp a cold. If you don't want to freeze it, just put some water in the fridge, or even put this in the fridge and then take it to bed with you. You can put it on your feet, your face, behind your neck, on your wrists, anywhere really, and hug this all night. I didn't have this particular one last year. Mine broke and leaked, so in the meantime I used a water bottle. It was a 2-litre bottle, just like a Sprite or something. I filled that up with cold water and took it to bed with me and just hugged it, and if there was a certain part of my body that was too hot, I would get it and sort of roll it on that part of my body that was too hot, and it was amazing. Another thing, if you don't have a hot water bottle, is one of these. This is, I don't actually know what's in here. I think it's grains of some sort. I think it's wheat in here. This usually goes in the microwave if I have pulled a muscle like I have at the moment. I can't turn my head to the right, I pulled a muscle in my neck. So usually this goes in the microwave and it's heated up and is put put on the area. But this could go in the freezer in the bag, or in the fridge in the bag, and be cooled down. And it can be used like the hot water bottle, or it can be placed around the back of your neck or anywhere you wanted. I don't think that this would stay as cool for very long, just because of everything moving around inside. I think it might heat up a little bit quicker. My only other tip to keep cool, this is more of a when you're out, not so much when you're trying to sleep. If you're out somewhere or you're at work and you're just boiling and you can't go in a shower, try putting your wrists under cold running water. I found whenever I'm really hot, if I just stick my wrists under cold running water for 5 minutes, it has a cooling effect over my whole body. I can't remember the reason for it. I think it's to do with the veins carrying the blood. It cools the blood ever so slightly, which cools your core temperature down. And that's what I do if I'm really hot and I can't get a shower or a drink that works to cool me. I put my wrists under cold water, and that works lovely. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any tips or ideas or things that you use to keep cool during the day or when you sleep, then please put them in the comments below and share them, because I know there's going to be so many ideas out there or things that people use that I don't know about. I hope some of these work for you and you can actually get some sleep in the heat we're experiencing, and I will see you all later.